Buckle up and smash that subscribe button right now, because what President Cyril Ramaphosa has just pledged could redraw the moral map of South Africa, a full-scale cleanup of the deep-rooted corruption that flourished in the Jacob Zuma years, the era of state capture that turned government departments into personal piggy banks and left ordinary South Africans footing the bill for hollowed-out institutions. For 9 bruising years, the Gupta family's fingerprints were found on everything from rail contracts to breakfast show TV ads, while strategic state-owned companies like Eskom and Transnet bled billions. Now, Ramaphosa is betting his legacy on ripping all that rot out of the system's root and stem, and he is doing it in full public view. The promise is more than a soundbite. It is anchored in the thousands of pages produced by the Zondo Commission and the avalanche of recommendations it delivered. Earlier this year, Ramaphosa signed off on the government's official implementation plan, meaning every cabinet minister now has a deadline-driven schedule to overhaul procurement rules, tighten parliamentary oversight, and hand the Hawks and National Prosecuting Authority an open warrant to pursue high-level suspects. The National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council, packed with whistleblowers, forensic auditors, and civil society watchdogs, has been moved from the sidelines to the presidency's top priority list, so its briefings go straight to the president's desk every month. Already the Hawks have arrested dozens of suspects linked to state capture deals, including former SOE board members and politically connected business executives. Parliament's Public Accounts Committee now receives a rolling heat map of these cases, color-coded by stage, arrest, indictment, trial, and updated every 2 weeks, a level of transparency that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. The National Prosecuting Authority's new investigating directorate has recruited forensic accountants, armed them with subpoena power, and paired them with veteran detectives to fast-track complex racketeering cases that once sat untouched in dusty filing cabinets. But Ramaphosa's cleanup drive isn't just a courtroom spectacle, it's also a deep systems overhaul aimed at sealing the cracks that allowed graft to flood in. A new digital e-procurement platform is now mandatory for any public tender over R500,000. Bid committees can no longer rely on faxed or printed documents slipped through the back door. Every proposal must be uploaded onto a central ledger accessible in real time by the Auditor General. Inside the ANC, the step-aside rule has been written into the party constitution, forcing any member charged with corruption to vacate their post until proven innocent, a clause already used to suspend powerful figures who once considered themselves untouchable. Lifestyle audit teams now compare tax records with vehicle ownership databases, property registries, and even private school payments. If your income doesn't match your lifestyle, investigators knock. Civil society groups have been roped into the effort, too. Anti-corruption watchdogs and investigative journalists now operate open databases that house leaked contracts, whistleblower affidavits, and court filings, available for public use. Tip-offs can be submitted via secure messaging lines stuffed around the clock, giving ordinary citizens a direct line to the Special Investigating Unit without the fear of bureaucratic runaround. Still, the ghosts of the Zuma era aren't giving up easily. Extradition requests for the Gupta brothers are stuck in foreign legal systems. Critics argue that while mid-level enablers are being charged, the real masterminds remain untouched and comfortable in mansions far beyond our borders. The slow pace of court proceedings, marked by postponements, legal stalling, and endless procedural arguments, continues to frustrate a public desperate for justice. Years of institutional decay have left the system understaffed and overburdened. Skilled prosecutors are scarce, forensic labs need rebuilding, and the brave few who push ahead face threats and intimidation. Opposition parties accuse Ramaphosa of too little, too late. They say he was Zuma's deputy for years, sitting silently at the same cabinet table while corruption metastasized. But Ramaphosa defends his record with statistics: over 800 disciplinary cases open against public officials, more than 200 lifestyle audits completed, and nearly $9 billion in frozen assets pending civil forfeiture. A new public procurement bill is headed to Parliament, promising stricter blacklisting of corrupt suppliers and the power to claw back stolen money without waiting for criminal convictions. State-owned companies now sign performance contracts that allow National Treasury to freeze funding if corruption benchmarks aren't met. Globally, South Africa's shift hasn't gone unnoticed. International governments are considering sanctions against local officials implicated in major scandals. Foreign investors, burned by past partnerships that went sour under the weight of corruption, are demanding anti-bribery clauses and real-time financial transparency before re-entering the market. Treasury's new registry of beneficial ownership makes it easier to expose who really sits behind shell companies bidding on state contracts. But the most important victories aren't happening in court, they're happening on the ground. When Eskom installs a new transformer that wasn't marked up by 300% through shady middlemen, a township gets uninterrupted electricity for the first time in years. When a provincial hospital receives medicine at fair market prices instead of inflated invoices routed through politically connected front companies, children's lives are saved. When railways run, when tenders are clean, and when audits are honest, it's not just about money, it's about dignity. And yet, everything hangs in the balance. Investigators warn that more whistleblowers are being targeted than ever before. Parliament still hasn't passed the bill to establish a permanent, independent whistleblower protection agency. The ANC's own Integrity Commission has faced delays in enforcing its own rules. The fight against corruption has momentum, but it also has enemies, both inside and outside the state. That's why we need you. This battle isn't just about one man or one office, it's about millions of us watching, demanding, and refusing to forget. At SA Unfiltered, we will track every prosecution, every policy twist, and every attempt to derail progress. We'll celebrate wins and expose cover-ups. If you want to stay informed, if you want to hold power to account, and if you believe that South Africa deserves clean, honest, capable leadership, then hit subscribe right now, ring the bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because democracy doesn't work on autopilot, and sunlight is still the best disinfectant. Whether you're a frustrated taxpayer in Durban, a factory worker in Kebra, or a South African abroad watching your country from afar, know this, that the cleanup has started, the arrests have begun, and the system is slowly being rebuilt. The road is long, the resistance is real, but the truth is brighter than ever, and with eyes like yours watching, the crooks have fewer places to hide. Stay tuned to SA Unfiltered, where we keep the heat on until the rut is gone.